One are present, Matt's absent tonight, so we have a quorum and we'll stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have open forum public input. Carmen, you're here with these bright shining faces.
Thank you for having us. Want to stand up and join me? So I don't want to
Introduce.
Yeah, I will. But we're just kind of trying to figure out where to stand. My name is Carmen Bartels. I am a high school science teacher here at Parkston, as well as the HOSA advisor. HOSA stands for Health Occupation Students of America. And every year, along with all the other student orgs, we go to a state conference with the hopes of going to national conference. And so I'm going to introduce to you my community awareness team. These 5 sophomores, Kiara Oakley, Kendall Herman, Berkeley Zebart, Alexis Holzbauer, and Morgan Maxwell are part of that team. And so community awareness means that they have to choose some sort of topic that they are going to make a community or a group of people aware of. And so this year they have chosen the nursing shortage crisis that we are currently going through in healthcare. And so they're going to present to you as part of their community awareness project. And if you do have questions towards the end, I will allow them to answer those. So here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have a short presentation, but they will be referring to that as they present.
Okay. What and why we did this topic. Our topic for our HOSA project is informing people about the nursing shortage. Nationwide, there has been a shortage for health professionals, especially nurses. There are many components that can explain why there's a shortage, like the baby boomer generation reaching retirement, lack of qualified nursing educators, the burnout and emotional toll of the profession, like the COVID-19 pandemic. It impacted so many people, which increased stress and burnout. Why we thought this topic was important. We believe that it's important to inform people, especially the younger generation, because the future needs qualified nurses. In order for them to be qualified, we need to encourage them at an early age. We need to make them aware of programs and scholarships and bring back the excitement to the field.
Here's some statistics here. The nurses in highest demand are 1, registered nurses, and then physicians, licensed practical and vocational nurses, nursing assistants, and then the retail salesperson. And then up here to the right, it says, as of 2030, South Dakota will be the only Midwest state experiencing this shortage. Studies have projected that South Dakota will need an additional 1,900 RNs in this profession, and that's a 14% increase in this current workforce. South Dakota is also ranked number 3rd in the nation for the worst of the RN shortage.
What does this mean for a small town? It means that EMTs will have to do more work than expected because they're responsible for transporting patients that we don't have enough workers to handle.
A shortage of workers will also lead into our hospital admitting less patients because of the lack of help, and this can also go for the nursing home as well.
Along with that, small towns will hire more traveling nurses to fill the opening jobs at the hospital. This is unwanted because of how expensive the traveling nurses can be.
That's all we have for this.
So you may be wondering why they're presenting. So do you have any questions?
What's the South Dakota connection of what we're taking it, having a tough time? I mean, do you know any reasons and rationale why South Dakota ranked 3rd and then it's 1900? I mean, we're the worst in the Midwest. I mean, what's up with that? Any idea? Did research didn't look at that? I'm just curious.
I mean, we haven't dug.
Speculate.
We haven't dug that far in yet. But it's just like all around in South Dakota. It's not just specifically like one spot, I guess, in general. But yeah, I don't.
So will all 5 of you be going to nursing school then?
I plan on going to
Okay.
nursing school. Yep.
Are you 4 interested in nursing?
I
Other
am
4?
now.
Undecided.
I'm gonna be a teacher.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Okay.
Kendall, you don't know what you're doing yet?
I'm thinking the rad tech programs.
Oh, yeah.
That's good, that's needed too.
Healthcare, so, yeah, okay.
But as we discussed earlier, just because they may not be going into nursing, we all need nurses. And so we're gonna need to be taken care of at some point, including from birth to death. And so we've discussed that, and it's a good question that you brought up and something that they definitely need to look into. But nonetheless, that's kind of the scope of practice that they're trying to, I mean, there's a shortage in a lot of workers right now, that's the truth. But their job is to just educate our community, and eventually, what is your goal? What do you want to do in the next coming weeks?
We were gonna do some projects with like especially the younger students, like hands-on activities, that type of stuff to kind of like, I don't know, what's it?
Introduce them.
Yeah, just introduce them to like the nursing field or what they might get to do, like that, those little things, or even like the middle school classes too. But
Don't forget about the boys.
yeah, right.
Boys are great nurses, so don't forget about including the males in everything.
How many people are in your club?
We have 28 members, and we have 6 boys of the 28, 4 of which are graduating. And so we feel that same thing, but we do have some young men that are interested in joining, as well as women. We have seen a drop off. I mean, it's not just nursing shortage. When I first came here in the first years of HOSA, I had up to 54 members. And now it's kind of dwindled. It has ebbs and flows, but we see that because kids, if they are going into healthcare, there's not as many of them going into healthcare because of the demands of the field. But it's our job to hopefully open the doors, and not just to nursing, to all of the careers that they have, that they can go into. So.
Where you gotta go next? You guys taking this presentation to somewhere, where are you going? I mean, state competition?
Yeah, we go to
Yeah.
state, and then hopefully, we'll
Nashville.
go to,
Nashville is where the Nationals
Yep.
is, so hopefully we'll get there.
If this
if,
Yeah.
yes.
catches somebody.
Yeah.
Yes, right,
Yeah.
right.
So is this like completed, or do you want to add things to this?
No,
You're looking
no, this
to-
is just like a little section
Like
of
a
what
short
we're gonna do.
overview of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
You are part of their project timeline, so thank you for having us.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
It's awesome to have you. I love this stuff, so.
I think including stuff about like scholarships and the great opportunities there are in our state would be valuable, like the Build Dakota, all of those things that help nurses, helps other people too in other degrees, but I think that those things really highlight, you can get your school completely paid for, so that's really cool. So, very
This is gonna
good.
sound really weird, but what's the name of the game where you go and take the bone out of the guy in his nose?
Operation.
We talk about little kids, let's
Right.
let's go play Operation with the little dudes.
we do take an anatomage team. What that means is there's a virtual dissection board.
I
It is,
saw that.
yeah, and so these girls aren't old enough to do that, but eventually they will be. But the seniors compete in that tournament.
Oh.
It's a bracketed tournament, and with any luck, you don't qualify for nationals in that one, but you can compete in it at nationals.
Did you see that article, Mrs. Bartlett, about Madison and that arbitrage device?
Anatomage, yeah, no.
They just got one in Madison.
Yeah, and I'm really jealous because like there's
90.
other schools that are getting grants. They're expensive.
So what is it like?
93,000.
You have to identify organs and bones and things, or what?
Yep, and they got to do that at the trip. We took a trip in the fall, and they got to play on an anatomage. But yeah, so it's like virtual dissection. So they can make incisions
Oh,
and they
that's
can
cool.
remove layers. And then the cadavers are just like that of any other cadaver lab. They're donated. And so when they literally take these bodies slice by slice down to the quick, and then they don't know what they're going to get when they get inside. And so a lot of them are interesting case studies that may have died of X, Y, or Z. So it's really cool.
The other thing that would be fun to highlight is different types of nursing. So, you can use nursing in so many different ways. So you can start here and be a bedside nurse and grow and change and advance. And I think that might speak to other students too, like if they're not fully interested in just being bedside, but they might like some of the other pieces of it. So don't forget about all those pieces too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome, girls.
Is Avera working with you guys?
Avera here in town has been so very wonderful and supportive of our program, not only financially, but I've got kids going into the facility, whether it's nursing home or hospital, to shadow I have Allie Hobick is currently doing her anesthesiology shadowing that she is going to highlight in a 10-page portfolio that she has a skill-based video that goes along with it that she's learned from there. And I mean, I have a ton of CNAs that are in our group that do nursing home and hospital. I mean, we're very fortunate for the support, not only of you guys, all of the different businesses here in town. It's just amazing the resources we have in Parkston, because I mean, we truly have it made here. So we appreciate your guys' support and allowing us for coming to talk to you. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys did great.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we will move to, oh, is there anybody else with any input, public, no, good?
I was just gonna talk about FFA if that was okay.
Yeah,
I forgot to
come
send
on
in
up.
my email for his principal's report. We got back from a competition today, and I was still here working. But we're in the middle of our season. I just wanted to brag on the kids because they're doing really, really well so far.
Yeah.
This is Floriculture's second first place win. Saw a lot more competition today. It's been really good. Lots of top 10 individuals. Horse team won. Kenley got third place. So they've been putting a lot of time in. We've been practicing since January. We kind of have a kind of a condensed season this year. State convention is the first week of April, so we missed out on a couple of competitions. We'll be gone once a week. And then I just want to share we're hosting a contest for the first time at the end of March, and the kids are very excited. They've been begging me to host one since I got here. And so they're really excited to kind of have that opportunity. It'll actually be the district qualifier to determine who goes to state in April. So we'll have about 550 kids from 14
Say
schools
again.
coming. 550. Yep. And
That's
so
awesome.
we're going to make a great use of the multi-use
I was
facility.
gonna say
and
logistics here
show
in
it
Sacramento.
off.
You're making
No.
me sweat.
No, you'll be good. There was, I think, 1,500 at Howard today, and they still had school, so I think we'll be okay. So it'll be good. I think the kids are going to showcase all the hard work they're putting in, and we have a very supportive district, and bringing back a lot of Parks and FFA alum, and getting a lot of good support from local places too. Like Wilson's are going to host the horse judging, Weber's are going to host the livestock judging. So trying to work out maybe something with MTI on hosting the ag mechanics portion. So it's been kind of a exciting process, and the kids are really kind of happy to bring that to Parkston and show everyone what FFA is. So good exposure for our school and our facilities. And yeah, so if you guys want to come and check it out, I just wanted to extend that invitation. Obviously, I'll be don't come find me because I'll probably be running around like a crazy person. But we'll have multiple contests going on in the gyms. If you guys just want to stop in and see, March 25th.
Do you need judges?
So, if you guys want to come and highlight or supervise a contest, I won't turn you down. It'll be good. Yeah, Catholic Church, they're giving us a great deal on that. So it'll kind of be a couple places in town, but with the 3 gyms that not a lot of other schools have, we're very lucky to actually have the facilities and space to host it and still allow school to continue. So there'll be kind of the hands-on portions. There'll be lots of excitement. And so just kind of a good idea. I know we're not really a spectator, activity. So if you guys want to come and check it out, I encourage you to just kind of take a walk through and see what the kids work on all year. So it'll be really cool. So just wanted to brag on the kids. They've been working really hard. So
Will you have a schedule of when our students will be?
So it's all kind of happening simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have registration from 9:15 to 9:45. Everyone will kind of get dismissed their location at 10 o'clock. And each contest kind of takes a different amount of time, depending on how many kids. Some contests are bigger than others, and that just kind of slows it down with the travel time too. But basically everything will be up and running. Probably a lot of them will be taking tests around 10, so that's not the most exciting time to come. But if you come 10:45, 11 to noon, that's when they'll actually be walking around and doing their hands-on activities.
Cool.
So
Okay.
yeah, just
Thank
wanted
you
to
for
brag.
coming to share. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. We will move to approve agenda, changes to agenda. There were no changes that I'm aware of. So I just need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Pearl and second by Schoenfelder. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, and no new conflicts of interest that I'm aware of. So we will move to approve consent agenda. We'll approve official board minutes from February, pay submitted claims, and accept the resignation of Abby Hobick, math teacher, head volleyball and softball coach, effective end of the school year. So if there aren't any questions or changes, I just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Crowell and seconded by Nebo to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carried.
All right, we'll move to information, discussion, staff reports, and we'll hear from the high school principal first.
Well, since they came in, I'll just kind of talk first about, for our programs, this is our really busy time of year. You kind of get into March and we start having, like for example today, FFA had an event, so we had a bunch of FFA kids gone. Hosted tomorrow is taking all the seniors to Cadaver Lab, so they'll be gone tomorrow. Like Ms. Ackerman talked about, you got about an FFA meeting every week, so it's really important for us in the high school to have a lot of communication because we got a lot of student absences, but it's all for good things. We're okay with it because, like we always kind of talk about during our staff meetings, we want highly involved kids. We want kids that are, in 1 or 2 programs and a sport every season. Like, we really feel like that makes them well-rounded and learn how to manage and juggle a busy schedule. So, you're looking at 5 girls that are talking about their HOSA project that are going to state basketball in 2 days. That's pretty cool. Just to kind of follow up, you heard about what's going on with HOSA and FFA. Ed Rising just had their state, they're the first one that had a state event. They had it a couple weeks ago. And we have the new state Ed Rising president from our school. So Hillary Polarize beat out 8 other candidates. I had to do 3 rounds of interviews for the position. And she is the new State Educators Rising president for the next school year. So pretty cool. We're
That's
really
awesome.
neat honor for our school, and very proud of Hillary. She worked very hard to get it done. We had 4 kids that qualified for the national conference in Orlando. Hillary qualified as the state president. Isis Molenberg, Anna Weber, and Alea Wilson also. And we might have some more. There's what's called online events, and they'll announce those qualifiers at the end of this week. So maybe even have a couple more. So pretty cool. On the other side of it, in the next couple months, I just got in the mail today a reminder when we talk about testing and like trying to get some data that would be really good for us to dig into. Our pre-ACTs that we're going to give in April showed up today. And so we got the booklets, and so we just got to kind of set the test date for sometime in April. A reminder that looks like right now the plan is next year, rather than there being the Smarter Balanced Assessment in the high school level, it's going to be the ACT. And so we are going to give what's called a pre-ACT in the 9th and 10th grade as a way of kind of having 3 years of data that all kind of goes together. And so we will be able to kind of tell how our freshmen and our sophomores are looking like they might do and what they have strengths and weaknesses in. So that's just going to be another data piece we use to kind of, take a look at what we're doing and how we can do better. So those just came in the mail today, and that'll be something that we'll talk about in the next month or 2 as we give those tests and then start digging into the data and everything.
Clarification on your junior assessment, though, we've officially become a testing site as well, and all of our juniors will take the April ACT, correct?
Not all the juniors are going to take it, but the nice thing is for the first time in a long time, if they want to take it, they can take it in-house. We are offering it. Obviously, next year will be the first year that all juniors have to take it, and that's because, like next year, that is the state test. Yeah. So right now, it's still a if you want to kind of deal. So we won't have full junior numbers of the entire class until next year, but these 2, that will be the first 2 that start. We're going to start that process. So that way we can, kind of know what's coming and start making some adjustments and improvements as we go. So.
But other students from other schools can come here and take it as well. Yeah.
Because we kind of got it signed up late, you kind of have to go through a couple steps to find it. It doesn't like immediately appear. But I know we've probably got at least a dozen of ours that are going to take it here. And we put it out there. So if you know anybody that wants to, I think they'll get a sign up at the end of last week. So it might already be closed. So. With that said, our quarter ends on Wednesday. So the end of the 3rd quarter is on Wednesday. And so we'll kind of be finalizing that and sending out report cards next week. Keep rolling from there. So, any questions for me?
So
Thank
congrats.
Thank you.
On your
busy week, but we're looking forward to it. It's kind of fun. I mean, I'll just say I'm sure Mr. Fisher's going to talk about it too, but super, super proud of the team. This has been a goal the whole year. Really fun for them to kind of almost see the weight lifted. Like, it's like they knew they could do it and they wanted it so bad. I'm glad they accomplished it. So now it's kind of just let loose and see how good we can do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I don't have too much on the school front. Just wanted to let you guys know conferences. We had those kind of right after our last meeting in February, and they were very well attended. Again, in the high 90 percentile of parents attending. So I'm always just really impressed with the level of involvement we get from our parents, and just wanted to share that with you guys. Other than that, just been busy. Third quarter wrapping up this week, and so like Mr. Knipling mentioned, we'll be getting report cards out next week on that. No other real, we're just kind of right in the groove and just kind of cooking along here. Getting ready for state testing coming up in April. And just kind of kids are working hard in the classrooms and doing a great job. Teachers are doing great things. So no real specifics to report on that end. As far as from the activity standpoint, wanted to give a shout out to our elementary students. They attended, I think 22 of them attended a Mitchell Music Festival, and so that was fun. They spent the day up there and then had a performance in Mitchell's Performance Center there. They had a great time and a great experience, so it's always good to see when our littles get a chance to go up there and learn and grow and pursue their passion of music. So that was good. Wanted to recognize our wrestling community. We had state dual tournament, which we were able to participate in as the 8th seed, and we came in and were consolation champs and actually wrestled Canton probably better than anybody else there that day. So really it was an impressive effort by our wrestling team there. And then they had individual state up in Rapid City, and as a team they placed 5th there as well. So we'll be adding a couple banners to the wall there. I think it was also after our last meeting that we had gymnastics perform incredibly well. 2nd place finish, so nice to be adding all these banners to the wall. And so fun to see the hard work that those teams have put in and see them be rewarded for that. We're wrapping up our basketball seasons. The boys had a great season, finishing 16 and 6, I think. Lost out in a tough game in the region semifinals. And like we were just talking about, girls basketball made it to state for the first time in 13 years. So exciting things happening. It's just really, when you reflect back on the success that all of our programs have had, it's been a pretty incredible year. Thinking all the way back to the fall and everything that the groups have been able to do all the way through, and to think about the success of our arts programs with music and the way that they're performing. They had an opportunity to go out to Rapid and participate, in a big opportunity for them. And just to see too, I think when you come to a basketball game, our pep band at basketball, or they performed at a wrestling event, the way that they've kind of brought the community into it and really brought a lot of spirit and life back to our gyms. I think it's just been a really great year in those regards. So just wanted to recognize all the coaches, advisors, everybody that's had a part in that. So, we'll see what happens this weekend, and hopefully, we'll be putting up some big banners up there. So, along with that, also, see Coach Boza back there. Also, we had just, wrestling program finished up the year, and we had a girl compete in the region tournament for the first time ever representing Ethan Parkston. So that was great to see too. So good things happening all around. So.
And Alicia Stainbrook taking 4th
at middle school state
out of a 15-girl bracket.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So really positive things happening all over the place. So that's what I got.
Awesome.
Any questions or anything on that?
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right. Your turn.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot other than just some updates legislatively. The moral of the story out in Pierre has been the lobbyists, and I think a lot of public commenting to the legislators has helped defeat a lot of nefarious legislation that was, for lack of better terms, my opinion, I guess, nothing but attack on public education. And they've done quite well
to withstand that. We are left, this is the last week, we are left yet with the appropriations bill. We are not certain at this stage of the game as to what percentage the governor at the beginning, or at least Governor Nolan before she departed, offered, or the 1.25. I've heard as much as 2. I've heard 2 is a little bit of a stretch in that respect. I think it has helped with the prison not coming to fruition, that perhaps maybe there's some dollars that, I don't know how they would even direct that away from there, but that's part of the conversation. But the fact that CPIW is still tracking a little north of 2, and the fact that they're talking about anywhere from 1.25 to 2. You know, state law says that funding to education should be 3% or CPI, whichever is less. Well, we're going to be hard pressed to get that less, you know. So if it is 2.2, I'm almost positive they're not going to give us 2.2. And even though it's in codified law, how they end up doing that is they basically rewrite it at the last minute so they don't have to. I mean, they've done that many times over, you know, my 25 years in admin, so pretty crazy. I got a few House bills here that I just wanted to bring light to you. One is House Bill 1239. It still remains out there. Again, you want to talk about nefarious. So this is actually passed through Senate Judiciary. It's supposed to be on the floor today. I did not hear. But what that is doing, 1239, is holding librarians criminally responsible for the dissemination of what they would consider to be obscene material. So if somebody believes that whatever you're checking out of the library and the librarian puts the stamp of approval, you know, they could take it to a prosecution level because somebody disagreed of calling it obscene material. So, yeah, a far stretch. The other one, House Bill 1222, that has passed both houses. It's waiting, I guess, on its way to the governor. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but expanded carrying a weapon on school grounds. Yep. So there are provisions, criteria in place that one would have to meet in order to do that. But the day of perhaps maybe seeing no weapons, even though it's in federal law, that you can't do that. The state of South Dakota says if you, Mr. Schoenfelder, is a concealed weapons permit carrying advocate, blah, 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 he can walk in here anytime packing heat if he wants to. And there's other provisions from superintendents and school principals. There's a few hoops that one has to jump through, but codified law says that that is an acceptable, approach. So we'll see what Governor Roden does with that, if he actually signs that or not. So the reduction on dual credit, that was the other one concern, House Bill 1040, where the state of South Dakota gives incentives to juniors and seniors who meet certain criteria to take dual credit courses, for a reduced price through our state institutions of education. Regent schools is the term I was looking for. I believe that ended up failing. It was close. It got through one house and it got through the other committee on education, and then it got to the floor, and it didn't quite muster enough votes to have that reduction, even though we're in this whole phase of being $72 million short. So it's odd how, in one sense, something like that, that's good for kids and good for education, can prevail, and there's some of the things I just told you about that kind of make you scratch your head a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see what comes out of it. Thursday's the last day, and then we should have an appropriations bill at some point giving us an idea of what kind of money, that the state of South Dakota is going to give public education. Mr. Knipling kind of told my Education Rising Thunder a little bit, but I did not know Ms. Polarize got that opportunity, but they were also recognized at the state convention, or the state conference, as one of only, I think, 6 or 8 schools in the state that was a gold chapter. You know, so in the very short time that Ed Rising chapter has come to fruition, Miss Kufka, and you saw those girls here last week, how that is taken off. And if anything else, we're doing our very best to try to fill the bucket, raise our own, you know, direct kids towards into education. So, yeah. So there was a picture that I put in your packet of
This is Hillary.
Hillary. Yep, Hillary's to the right, and Maya Maggie is to the left there. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they had that opportunity. So, and then the sewer. I'm not even going to tell you about the sewer update. We did finish the 40-foot back February, but the discovery of more cast iron, that is essentially in pretty rough shape. We'll just have to continue to look at that, and that's something Craig and I will do in the budget, and you know, take a look at that and try to, you know, how much more can we afford in the next budget year, because we still have issues. And I put that diagram in your packet if you want to see where the main flows. I would have never guessed that. Honestly, until something was just a miss, I got a hold of Pitts. They sent me that, and then okay, now it makes sense to me. I know what we're dealing with. So, and that was confirmed by SD Lining when they got in here, dug the hole in the North Girls locker room and started lining that, and put the camera in. I don't know, he just said he ran it out to, I don't know, 80 plus feet, you know, back to the other way to the south, and he's like, you still got issues. So I'm like, I give up, tired. Anyway, so that's all I have for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any questions on anything from anyone? All right, we will move to discussion items. Discussion item A is to review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review and a first reading for district consideration. GBCA, GBCB, GBCBA, GBCBAA, and GBCBB.
The alphabet.
So those are all included in the packet for your first review.
So you have staff conflicts of interest in there. There was nothing that was irregular about that particular policy. Staff conduct, nothing there that I cited that should be room for improvement or correction on that. Freedom of expression, that's always an interesting one. But that essentially is coming out of, you know, the main Associated School Boards manual as well. Search and seizure. I think the main thing on search and seizure, we tell all of our states, I'm pretty sure it's in our handbook, now it's in our policy, is that there is no expectation of privacy, and that applies to even adults. So if you're in school property, you're on school property, you're using school property, computers, desks, lockers, whatever, there is this concept of no expectation of privacy. So it's a clarification or a statement, I guess, a declaration that kids have to understand. You know, I've had experiences in my past where you can't do that, that's my kid's locker. No, it's the school's locker, and perhaps even what's in there, well, maybe some of your kids, but you have no expectation of privacy. And then the last one, employee use of networking sites, again, just some encapsulation and some of the things up as to what some of that do's and don'ts are. So,
Any questions or comments, feedback on those? Okay. We'll move to discussion item B. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review in a second reading for the district consideration. GA, GB, GBA, GBAA, and GBC, which were all included in last month's packet. Anybody have anything to add?
and we made no corrections or clarifications to any of those policies, so they were as written. So the first reading, now your second. So
okay. All right, so discussion item C is to review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for final review and adoption and inclusion to the district's policy manual: FEC, FED, FEE, FEFA, FEED, FEG, FL, and DIF. So if there aren't any questions about those, then we just need a motion to approve.
So moved. Moved by Schoenfelder and second by Turner to approve those policies. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, discussion item D is to review the 5-year capital outlay plan. We'll discuss and prioritize projects identified on the capital outlay plan for 25-26 school year.
So included in your packet is these documents that are a little bit colorful for you there to review. And just an interesting note, I kind of classified those based on color as to where they're at. So you can see the finished, the in process to consider, and perhaps yearly. So the amount of time that, the last 4 years has been a whirlwind for sure. So you guys have accomplished a lot of things as far as the physical plant that probably needed some attention, and I understand that the building of a facility that you just built was a large part of it, but there's several other projects there if you look at it too that we've made vast improvements on for the physical plant. So the question there that remains is this time of the year, we always ask, okay, what do we want to do within our capital outlay budget? Do we want to take a hard look at that we want to get, working on over the summer when people are outside of the system? So that has a tendency to be, in the blue. I will mention the green. One of the main things this year that is going to happen as soon as school gets out is going to be the new playground. Yep, so the playground, I just got an email here probably 10 days ago. That stuff perhaps is going to start showing up. I need to coordinate probably maybe with the lumber yard or maybe one of the local businesses like Kaler Grain or somebody like that. I may need a forklift from time to time to unload that. But just so you know, the only place that I have the ability, because of the size of the playground equipment that's coming, we're going to put that out on the cement pad that's called the basketball hoops, far to the east that we possibly can to, stay off of that, just till we get done with school. So when the semis show up and it's time to unload, that's where we're going to store all that material. So that's going to be taking place. I would like to continue the process of the door magnets. That's been an expenditure anywhere from $400 to $5,500 a year, about 6 or 7 at a time. We're pretty close, because when we get into this facility, everything was built that way. So we're just about through the high school end, or 6 through 12 end, where we got all the doors, up to snuff now. And that's more of a fire code concept. So I know that would perhaps be one thing. So to consider, you'll see the stuff in the blue there. Mr. Bruning and I just briefly over time have had some conversations here or there a little bit, but we haven't really sat down. And this is why we're here for you guys. If there is some prioritization when you see that list of information or projects there, is there something there that we really want to focus on? So you can see the overseeding project. Is that the end of the world? Do we need to get that done? Perhaps, maybe not. We do have issues out there with the cleanliness of the building this time of year. I mean, the dirt that comes into the facility and the mud at the end of any one given day because of recess out there is horrifying. Now, the fact that you don't have water out there, and we put some money from an overseeding perspective, we don't have any moisture, and it's as dry as it is, maybe this is not the year to possibly doing that, because you're not going to waste a bunch of money when you can't, water it to get it to grow. So the vehicle mower outdoor storage facility. The vehicle, the mower tractor, something that we've been talking about for a couple years. I'm still working with Henke Repair on perhaps a new unit. Not that he's delaying me, but he was getting some new lines of product in that he really wanted me to take a look at, or us to take a look at. So I'm kind of waiting for that. A vehicle, Mr. Bruning and I talked about that. I believe we're maybe in an agreement that if we did get something, we'll see where we're at. The days of getting the Dodge Caravans, Craig can speak better to that than I can, because I don't think you can get those anymore. So
I was told, by Iverson, they don't make them. So the next closest thing would be a Pacifica, and they're above 40,000 new.
And that's a 7-passenger.
Yeah. Yep.
So the 15-passenger may be the route that we continue to go, just because it is so handy to come in, and some of our smaller trips and our smaller groups that too big for 7, and we can put in 1. So something we'll probably get a bid on, at least take a look at moving forward. So the outdoor storage facility, with Mr. Leichner being absent, and he gave me some feedback, and his first priority would be to take a look at that. What else would it take, to have that project come to fruition? And it's just like everything that you guys have done, in my opinion. One, location. Two, perhaps maybe you need to hire somebody, so there's an expenditure to give us an idea as to what it could look like, and then come up with some price points along with that too. So something for you guys to consider when you would like to move on that. We've talked about it for the better part of 2 years now, so I understand we just built the facility, but the prioritization in our capital outlay fund, we would have to have some conversations. I think Craig and I need to dig deeper for you guys. If that's something you truly want to see take a closer look at, how could we go about paying for such a facility like that? So, the North Outdoor Athletic Facility, that partnership with the city, I put these in your packet. Hopefully you had a chance to look at some of these. I talked with Mammoth, so you're looking at this kind of concept here where we both invested, the city and the school district invested just about 22 grand, 11 grand a piece to have them go through this process. The question was, what could it look like, and then some price points on that. So I included that in your packet. The reason why it took so long from the last time we met, which was right before Christmas, is the lead architect who actually designed this was working on it. He quit. Not quit, but he took employment elsewhere. So they were kind of left holding the bag. So to bring this thing to some closure and some fruition as far as price points, we had to wait for them to kind of get up to speed on some of that stuff. So, but you can see some of the site plan renderings there, the ball field, the practice field, as to what it possibly could look like. This is a byproduct. I don't know if Mr. Bruni, I don't think you had the opportunity to sit on the last one, but Mr. Fisher and Mr. Knipling were in on the last meeting and conversation. So essentially what you're looking there, that if you did the two baseball fields, that's about 4 lines back, you can see the top. It's a sheet that looks like this, okay? And it gives you a breakdown of each in particular field. What is unique about those fields is that everything in the outfield on both of those surfaces are natural grass. Everything on the infield is turf. And the rest of it, you can kind of see it goes around, and it gives you price points about what that would take to get that to come to a real product. So total, if you did all that, and the practice field, natural grass for adding another practice field, football. That's important for our youth programs and our jamborees that we host all the way to the east. You're looking at about a cost estimate of $5.9 million. So there's some things in there. Obviously, one wouldn't have to go about putting in there. Fan amenities, that's basically your concession stand, your bathrooms, restroom facilities, things like that, storage. That's about $900,000. Playground, another $200,000. Having done the playground, I would say that's a realistic number, because what this playground we're going to install out here, that's right in the ballpark is what we were talking about. So the batting cages perhaps that they cited on there, and then you have a movable fence that is out there. It should be noted too that each of those ball fields can play from all the way to the little guys all the way to the big guys. So you can expand that all the way up to 90 feet. And then you can move that fence to adjust accordingly in the outfield. So you could play, 2 games at once there, especially if we were talking youth activities. So, but yeah, the total cost for doing that, you can see field lighting, just shy of $500,000 on that. The stabilization of doing some groundwork, things like that, that's $74,000. And the actual turf in of itself to do all that and get it lined and put everything down, you're looking about $1.3 million per field for a total of $5.9. If you turn to the next page, you look at part of the concept of the conversation was making more accessible. So if you look at that, you see a football field. So the football field has turf on it. And you look at a price point there right now, about 1.2 million to do that. What is unique about that is you can expand the youth programs and utilize it for many different other things, because if you see that rendering, you might see up in the corners there what looks like maybe a batter's box. You can put those on any corner. You could play youth programs on this surface. And what they would do is go out there when they inlay this turf, that they would put the base paths and they would already have them built in to the football surface, and you wouldn't know any different. So it allows you for 2 more fields from a youth perspective that you could actually play games. And again, movable fence if you actually needed that. So another unique, I guess, utilization of all of the space that we had available to us out there. And that kind of broke the seal on the conversation when we decided to take a look at turfing the surface of the playing surface, only to include more opportunities to do baseball and softball on that surface as well. So it became really another step in expanding opportunities. So, and then the very last part of that, city softball field, that is the orange field. That is everything. You're looking at just shy of a $900,000 expenditure on that, but that's all turf. You see the whole thing being turf. So not just the infield, it would be the whole concept doing that. So that's what Mammoth came up with. We know what it looks like now. You have some ideas on price point. I understand, where we're at. We don't have an extra $6 million laying around. I certainly understand that. But I guess my point to you guys as a school board, give some clarity, make a decision at some point in time and say, hey, this is a 10-year project. And I know that you guys can't speak because we don't know if we'll be here 10 years from now. None of us do. But as an acting school board or a sitting school board right now, maybe you want to put some time frame on that. And if there is the notion that you want to put a line item in our capital outlay budget that even starts sticking a small piece away, that you tell Craig and I, listen, we want, 20 grand a year to make sure it goes towards this project, then we highlight that within that, and we know that's kind of a sacred cow then, and see where it goes. Maybe 10 years. I think there is some notion that private funding, reaching out, doing some capital realization investments, some selling of materials, fundraising, those types of ideas. I think everything has to be looked at in order to bring this to reality. The question is, we got to this point, I think there was the consideration, there is a need, so moving forward, how do you want to do that? So, any questions on that particular part of the north complex there? So, and we can circle back to that. The track resurface repaint project, Midwest Field and Track is our vendor on that. They're the ones who built that, or at least put that component together out there. I was contacted a while back here during the heart of winter when we didn't have no snow. They got a hold of me. Okay, you're in year 7, year 8. That's what time we reach out to our schools and time to take a look at what your service currently is. And there is this concept of a revitalization of that surface. Well, kudos to them because they sent a guy out probably a week after the fact. I said, better get here soon because there's supposed to be snow coming. He showed up. I went out there and this guy was point blank blunt honest. He says, I'm not here to sell you anything. He said, I'm telling you right now, I work for this company. This track does not need what they told you it needs, what they suspect it needed. He said, you have a couple years left before we get to that point. So I was totally impressed because he could have sold me a line of goods and I'm not sure I would have known any different. But he walked the track with me. He told me what I was looking for. He showed me places where there is some scuffing and some wear, something to be watchful for. And I said, well, put us on the list every year. You come back. And I said, now that you've educated me, we can make better informed decisions about whether we should do this resurfacing. And this is just a protective layer is what they do. And when it comes time to do the whole thing, and that means peel it all the way down to asphalt, start all over, there's your price points. 80 grand to do to touch it up and get it to where it needs to be to make it last another 7-8 years. And then if you have to do the whole thing, today it'd be about 160,000 to peel that all off and then relay it. So again, concept there, line item, capital outlay budget, knowing that that's just something that we're probably, the $80,000 expenditure, hopefully maybe we can get another 3 years out of it. We'll see. But if not, then the average lifespan of a track is about 15 years. So we'll see where that gets us. But right now, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't been real intentional about highlighting a line item within our capital outlay to make sure that.
Not really, since it got redone all the way down, yeah, no.
Yeah, so that you're prepared for the rainy day, right? If you put a line item in there, you don't have, where are we gonna come up with that money? Well, if you've been saving money for that, then, that expenditure for those resources will be there. So the rest of it is just kinda a little bit here, a little bit there, and we could do some of that. So questions on that, Scott, you got
I was gonna
it?
say, did we ever do anything on the parking lot?
We did not.
Okay.
And that what needs to be done. But Craig and I did a little research. We think we can invest in about, I don't know what that apparatus costs.
I don't remember, but I remember looking at it, yeah.
We can do it ourselves.
Sure.
The only thing that we'd have to do is probably rent a high
Compressor.
Oh.
to blow all the cracks out. But there's this neat little apparatus, whatever. I think it was only,
Kind of like your painting machine for the football field.
yeah, it was like,
Oh, sure.
I don't know, $500-600 maybe.
Yeah.
And then the epoxy that you'd have to buy to seal those cracks. So you go along with that compressor, blow all the cracks out, and then we'll go out there and, we'll do it ourselves. We'll crack seal it ourselves.
Yeah,
So,
and I know, like,
Might even be able to rent the one from Mid-Continent too, the compressor wise.
yeah,
so
for sure.
you can rent it from, used to be Weidenbach's, I don't know what they call
Knife
themselves.
River.
Yeah, you rent that by the day.
Yeah, right.
And,
If they have that, potentially, for sure.
yeah.
But I think, because that one guy gave us a quote of a year ago. I mean, he wanted over 20 grand, if I remember right.
Sure.
We could do that for a fraction of the price. So, and get some of that sealed up. Now, there is some cement work out there that we will probably have to highlight that we probably need to knock out and hire somebody to replace some of those corners. But
Sure.
so, other than that, good question. So, my two questions to you. One, you'll want to start putting a line item in the capital outlay budget for an opportunity for the north complex, if that's something desired, the track, and then what do you want to do with a potential maintenance facility outside of the, or on the footprint? So those are three things that I think I would like some direction on from you as a board.
How many stall shed would we need if you were to do it individually?
We have 5
9?
vans, probably close to 9. Depends if you want to put the trailers in there or not.
Sure.
So we have 5 regular vans. We got 2 black, 2 gray, and a blue. You got the 15 passenger. You got a truck. You got the Expedition. 2 trailers.
2 mowers,
2 mowers.
snow blower.
Snow blowers and all
Room.
that, yeah.
With that, you just make the shed a little deeper. You put that stuff in the back or whatever.
Yep.
But
So how
That's what we
many
currently have.
overhead bays would you need typically? I mean,
8 is what we currently have.
yeah.
okay.
And part of
I don't
that
think
is
I'm missing any.
From a price point perspective on that, drive in, dry out, or one door only, back in, back out. Yeah, you could go 2 deep, but I mean, not the end of the world. You'd have to do some maneuvering,
Well,
to
you
get
said-
that, but
That's where it gets expensive when you go individual stalls.
yes.
So,
Or, way back when, we talked about an idea where one larger door, and you come in at
yeah, that's,
angles.
And you park like a parking lot, like
Yeah.
That's what West Central has up there, so.
Yeah.
exactly, I think. and-
So, but that's where I think getting somebody with some expertise and knowledge is what's the best.
It makes it harder. That one makes it a little harder because it's gotta be more of a square and our spacing of where to put it.
Sure.
Would be that, just remembering the one that was at Hartford when we were there for junior high football and saw that.
So,
I mean,
those
there-
3 questions.
There's something where you could, talk to like as Ethan Coast Lumber, or, if you're gonna do just a shed type of deal, where
Yep.
you're gonna do And I think, would we have a dollar amount that we had, if we stayed below that, we didn't need an architect?
Yeah, so remember when that just came up in the policy here not too long ago, that you
Right.
made from a design perspective, and anything from 100,000 over, if a project like that's gonna cost you over 100,000, then that is something you have to take to bids legally.
Sure.
So, but the design part of it, I think it was probably, it was a little small amount, that was the question. It was like $5,000. Because John, I think you questioned that, and I did a little research and asked Rodney. He said, no, that's in law. So,
Where were we gonna put this? Will this impact the,
so yeah, great question. I mean, that's said to, could be something that has yet to be decided, but if you look where the yellow Connex, or excuse me, the orange Connex box is, you could actually set that back, use that as your apron, that cement parking lot out there. And Greg, you and I were out there when we blew out you and I were blowing out.
That's
the
what
football
I
field.
talked to Ryan Murtha about it too. You said it like from where those dead trees are kind of, or they're starting to die, a couple of them have died and stuff like that. Where the pump house is basically, to the north, to where the Connex box sits in that gate. There's a gate that you can go, that the ambulance goes through to get on a football field, right up to there. And there is a drains and stuff and sewer lines that work. That's why I went and talked to Ryan Murtha, but he thought that you could make one work there. For what we were
You
looking
and I
at.
stepped it off. We stepped off like, I don't know, pretty sure it was 60 by 80 at least.
so that won't impact any of the plans?
No,
that
because
we have
that's this way of
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
So,
okay. Jed, do you have thoughts?
I think the shed is obviously, in my opinion, our top priority. As far as the mammoth plans, I definitely think we should put some money away. I think we're, and once again, I'm just spitballing here, but I think we're 10 years away from this, as far as, or a decade away. But I think, yes, I think putting together, putting forth some money every year of capital outlay, I think that'd be a great idea. What was the other item on that?
Track.
the track, the resurfacing of the track.
Do you guys feel that's something we should start putting away a little money for too?
We used to put 7,000
Right.
a year.
Yeah.
Well, at
Because
least
10
then you
years
have
and you had
something
70,000.
when it happens,
Yeah,
at least
no,
you have
And I mean,
something.
really, we probably did, and you have a balance there. I mean, have we been specific line items the last couple of years? No. But prior to that, you did. But then we did the big project and had that done with the QZAP bond, so then you still had that other money sitting there.
No, I agree. If it's something we know it's coming in the next 5 years,
Yeah.
then obviously let's start putting some money away
Would,
for it.
When I, oh, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say with $5,000 a year putting toward that track, do you think we nothing, not even close?
Well, the striping and installation is 160,000.
Yeah. Okay.
To fully replace it, but just the spray
But
to
what did they say, how often
And
were you
repair
supposed
was
to
80.
fully replace it?
15, you said?
If you can get to 15, he said he did pretty good.
And what
But
are we
we're
right now?
already at 7 and
I was
8.
gonna say,
and
we're
he
already
said
halfway there.
we don't have to do the refurbished coat, which basically is going out there and they scuff it, and then they'll put whole new rubber down and restripe it again.
Yeah. And that's what we used
So
to
that's
put
the
money
So
in.
did they
protective
think
coat.
if
That,
you
which is the
waited a little
80,000.
longer to
Okay,
get
that's
that in,
80
that
grand
Yeah, that's why
extends
the-
the
It
life
will,
of the track?
absolutely.
So we might get
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
15
Yeah, you
years
could
out
be
of
getting
it.
20 out of it.
Okay, that's good, okay. The question I had was, the facility that we just built, when is that paid off?
20
20
years.
years from now.
It's not an option to wait then. Okay.
No,
I was thinking it was a shorter amount of time than that for some reason. Darn it. I need to win the lottery so we can get that paid off. Okay. Scott, what do you got? Did you already kind of share what you thought?
Yeah, the
Okay.
parking lot, we're gonna do that,
Okay.
and then, yeah.
I think the parking lot's more in your yearly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That should be a line item down there
Mm-hmm.
in our year. I mean, and we have been. I mean,
Right, it's just a parking lot.
we just haven't
if that gets
actually
away from
utilized
us.
it.
Like the repairs
Yeah.
that you're
Every
talking about,
year
you
put
guys
some
can
money
do
for
is what
parking
you're
lot.
saying? Yeah, okay. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I pretty much mirror what these guys are saying. The shed is, I think, is top priority. I think, could we try and squeeze 10 to 20 a year for the track and the...
Between the two of them?
Mhm.
Total, each one or total?
Well, I'm thinking 10, at minimum 10 of each.
Yeah, great. We can,
But if you can squeeze a little more, it's fine. But I'm just saying we gotta start somewhere.
Yep.
Because we know what the cost is, and if we're talking 3 or 4 years,
He thought we might be able to get up to 20 out of it before we have to fully replace it, so that
if
would
we
give
have to
us
do the
some time.
refurb coat, that's 80.
that's 80.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's, that'll get you,
Yeah.
halfway through that, but you don't have to come up with all 80 at once then either. But then that could prolong the entire,
Being
Right.
redone.
that device coming in and scraping that all off and taking it down to asphalt and then putting it all brand new.
So I think 10 on the track and 10 on the new complex, minimum, each one. And then let's look at the shed. And I'm gonna throw a little curveball in, but I think we should look at it as maybe another project down the road. But I just initialed a check tonight before the meeting here of not quite $45,000 for busing. And did you have buses when you were at Mount Vernon?
Yes, we own our own.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I'm just throwing it out here. We've never owned buses
Yeah,
here.
right?
But 45 grand a month, I don't know. I don't know, you gotta, and I don't know costs of buses and the cost, do you have a better idea on that?
Yeah,
But it's a lot of money.
yeah. Well, Craig and I have, I don't know, that's probably a monthly conversation between you and I.
We've had conversations about it.
I mean, what we're paying per mileage
Yeah.
on that, boy, I tell you what, I think I could do a lot on what we're paying.
We can drive a bus to Rapid City and back for less than $3,500.
Yep.
I promise you, I can do that
You mean if we owned it?
if we
Yeah.
own it.
Yeah.
But if you do think about that, in my opinion, then you might want to think about where the building goes.
Yeah, I got you,
Because
and
the
that's
storage
what-
shed,
Yep.
because like West Central Storage Shed for their vehicles was not on the school campus.
Uh,
It was a block away. So a staff member had to drive to there to get the vehicle out of the maintenance shed, which was about a block or a block and a half away.
Would they sell the one that's...
no idea.
Possibly,
No idea.
My opinion,
yes.
if he has no need for it.
Yeah.
So could that be part of an investment? Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure we could come with a price point that would be acceptable. And it's pretty easy because we've already looked, we know what he paid for it.
Yep.
I'm not saying anything nobody knows. All
Yeah,
you
actually, kinda, you go
all you gotta do is go
county.org.
look.
And I realize we have bus drivers, I realize maintenance, I realize the whole...
That's the
ball
hard,
game.
the maintenance word is probably the kicker
You'd have to contract and build a relationship with somebody
in town.
in like a Mirtha or somebody other than to drop your oils, do your fluids, do your little nagging, maintenance issues that arise during the course of a skill, anywhere from digital to electronic to lights to tires to broken radiator hose to, the whole concept there. Could you hire somebody to do all that and stay within house? Yeah.
Then we employ the bus drivers too.
Or do you go with somebody that's in town that provides that service? Yeah. But, our line item in the budget, I believe last year was 280.
Is it that or, well, when you add the activity one.
When we,
there.
that increased it.
Yeah.
To
I think it was
over
close
three.
over 350.
It was close to 350.
I don't know.
45 times 9.
Yeah.
Telling you.
Yeah. No, we've...
And the last few have been right around 40. And those were our busy months because there's a
I
lot
get
of
it.
activities. But so was April.
I get it.
Mr. Knipping just said, all those trips to FFA and all those others are buses. So.
And I promise you, we can run those buses to those events and that's fine. I'm not ridiculing them. They do a good job, but
Right.
it's something from an economical perspective. Something maybe we should really take a hard look at and run the numbers on it. So, but it frees up a line item in your, because we take it all out of capital outlay, don't we, Mr. Brunian? What do we
that
take?
comes out of general.
It takes all of it out of our general? Oh, even more so then. you know,
You can take up to 15% of your busing.
transportation.
Yep, out of capital outlay. Well, technically, we kind of do because we do the capital outlay transfer. I just don't sit there and do this one and then turn around and do this one again just to fix it type of mentality. But, I mean, technically, we do.
Food for thought.
Yeah, okay.
It looks like Matt kind of said the same things that
Yeah.
everybody else is saying. I personally would love to see the Mammoth facility before 10 years. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
But, I mean, obviously that's dependent on the city and people's donations and all those things, so.
I am not that guy. I'll just let you know right now. I'm not very good. I don't like asking people for money. That's not my expertise. I know there's a lot of people within the community where they do that and they do that well. But if, you know, visiting with the city, I think we'd have to be intentional as a conglomeration of putting together events that are intentional about, okay, doing a major fundraiser, what's it for? This is what it's for. And you do that consistently for however long it takes to get that privatization of, you know, some of this, where the city's got skin in the game, school district's got skin in the game, but you have a community that's got skin in the game as well.
Is there if we went back to them and asked for those things, like, I feel like you would need to start that almost right away so that you can fundraise and have it ready to go and.
I think, you know, because of my, I guess, you know, I still call myself a pup around here. And knowing the connections, I don't have that. I think, you know, Mayor Sumler and some people that were on the committee perhaps have a better insight as to maybe who those major players are. It'd be just getting them together and, okay, being intentional about, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And just
Can you start that?
process. Oh, absolutely,
Encourage
start the
someone to start it?
conversations,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Yep, you can do that.
Because I think like starting fundraising now so that we can get it done as quickly as
Absolutely.
possible.
Yep.
I think we have
The
people
question
who
was-
would back this.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, think about that. The people always said, well, what are you talking about? What would it look like? You know, and what kind of money are we talking? Well, now you have it. And that was the purpose of the 22 grand, you know, to get it to this point where now you can, we can blow these things up, right? You have an event, here's what it is, here's what you're putting, you know, your money's going towards type of deal, and when you go knocking on doors or whatever you want to do, so.
And then the last thing, the landscaping and stuff to make the new facility look fully
Yep.
completed.
Yep.
Is that's in the, we have
Yeah.
that plan, they're gonna do that?
We'll
or-
put all those price points together, and then we'll come up with a total number as to what
Okay.
those are all gonna be, so.
Kind of got to wait to see what grows
Sure.
from the last one.
Yeah.
Because we spent some money already with all
Yeah.
the grass and the ditch around there and stuff like that.
And that was part of the project, so.
Yeah.
The thing about
I
that
have to
is,
redo some of that.
I don't know if it's gonna produce or not.
Yeah.
If we're gonna get a crop, I have no idea.
But FFA said they would help us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
talked with Miss Ackerman, you know, in her landscaping class.
Yeah.
Yep. And we have rock left over, you know, as far as beautification with some investment in some plant resources, some perennials and things like that.
I just feel like it looks so nice, I just want it to be completed,
Absolutely.
so it's all finished and don't have to worry about it.
What we may have to reseed. And if we had to reseed, I know nobody wants to hydro seed, but that, I wouldn't go any other way. To think that we're gonna go out there and overseed it and think we're gonna get a stand on overseeding, spotty at best, my opinion. And Mebius did it, and we've kind of got a relationship with him from the last time we tried to do some overseeding. Honestly, I don't know that he ever did charge us for that. I don't think so.
For rent the tractor.
For renting the equipment, so.
Mr. McLean,
Yes, sir.
has the city seen these?
Yep, I gave all this to Mayor Sumler, probably last week or the week before.
Okay.
So he has it, yep, and
Okay.
I don't know what they were doing on their agenda, if it's something that they were gonna address or not.
Okay.
His comment to me is, I think their first priority is even 2 years out, is to take a look at their orange field over there, that he thought he would be able to put turf on the infield of that through a different, what I call company or a different vendor, for less than 200,000. He thought he could get that done, so.
So you're talking about the field right over here?
Yeah, the orange
smaller,
field.
the smaller.
Softball field.
Yeah.
Baseball, I
Okay.
don't know what you play, softball, baseball.
Everything gets played.
Everything.
Yeah, that gets
Now,
a lot of
everything.
action every night during
Well,
the summer.
that's why we got here,
Awesome.
because there was just shy of what, I don't know, Adam, how many, 200? How many events were on there?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you, so many.
I know we talked about it.
From 8U to 12U, and that's
Practice and games.
levels and boys and girls, I mean, it's a ton.
I don't remember, are there any other scheduled meetings with Mammoth?
No, when we had that last one, now we gave them the direction, and we decided on what that was. So essentially, it was just them coming to,
Put this
coming this to wrap it up, so.
Yeah, I didn't know if they had something to maybe narrow it down a little bit more, or...
Nope, I think that's what we agreed upon.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, because that's a menu, if you look at that one page on there,
Right.
do you need the amenities, do you need the batting cages, do you need the, you know,
Right.
you could piecemeal that as to how you wanted to do it. You could do one at a time. You know, you could do two, you could turf the field if you wanted to first, to buy you some time to perhaps maybe do those simultaneously. You know, because once you put the turf down, you can play the little guys softball on there.
Sure.
So, lots of different options there.
I would just mention though that, that I think at some point in time between the city and us, we ought to put this at some type of a public meeting.
Yeah.
I think we would be, I think we might be pleasantly surprised the private money that might come in.
Sure.
So
Yep.
a lot of people who love baseball around here.
Baseball
And softball.
history
Yeah.
is
deep,
pretty deep
Yep.
here. And
I agree.
that would bring in probably some other tournaments potentially here, and there's just a lot of things could happen for kids.
I can talk to Mayor Sumler about, you know, what they envision, and then perhaps, you know, like we said, hitting the fundraising trail a little bit harder.
Yeah,
Have the
just-
public meeting to explain what it is, and this is what it
Yep.
costs per se. And
I think once it got out there, I think we might be surprised.
Okay, I can do
All
that.
right. Very good, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry it took so long, but that
No.
gives us some clarification of which way we're
Yeah.
going, so appreciate it.
All right. Excuse me. Discussion item E is to discuss the Ethan Parkson track survey results. And so we'll just review those results and that pertaining to the track program.
Holy cow. I know you probably perhaps were overwhelmed with what was in the packet. The first 10 questions, pretty simplistic, but then all the comments, and 300 plus comments total, I mean, but 100 plus on each of the 3 questions, I mean, that proposed there. I guess I could say it on public, yeah, one comment in there, whoever designed the survey is an idiot. Okay, that's me. So, probably didn't get us to where we needed to be, because I'm not sure I have any more clarity on it, you know, as to what are the feelings in the Parkston district are. And obviously, we have Parkston Ethan in there as well. I have yet to have the conversation with Mr. Hawkins about how he perceived and what he rendered out of the particular survey. I did share in the packet that perhaps maybe we asked the kids for more clarity. Mr. Leichner had shared with me in his absence that, he's not sure if that was a good idea. I don't know if he misunderstood. I'm certainly not putting the weight, you know, all in the eggs in the kids' baskets to say yay or nay to this thing, but I'm still a little bit unclear as to where our own track athletes or our own kids believe as far as the track, at least the track cooperative. I think the cross-country cooperative somewhat came to fruition for me, that would be a tough thing to separate. I kind of got that sense when I read through a lot of that. The track, I think total just track on itself, a little bit different beast as of right now. They bring up a lot of great points in there. There's a lot of, I don't know, I don't want to call it finger pointing, but, you know, and it was both ways. I mean, you can kind of tell from the Ethan perspective who's maybe not happy in Ethan, and certainly can tell in the Parkston perspective who's maybe not happy in, you know, Parkston too. But I don't have, I asked Mr. Shepherdson to be here. you know, just in case somebody had a question, and the only thing I would ask that we don't ask him, because he's a coach in the system, a very important cog in the wheel of that we don't put him on the spot professionally and say, you know, would you like this or not? I think that, knowing that we're in, the co-op is together, obviously, for 25, 26, to finish out the school year, and then the question is, what are we gonna do moving forward? So certainly don't want to put him on the spot and, you know, try to work with athletes
I
knowing
feel
that.
like you do have information that came out of this.
Yeah, but
I
it's
mean-
Conflicting in some areas.
It
A little
is,
bit
yeah.
conflicting.
In my
Because they
opinion.
talk about it being a good thing, but then the percentage that wanted to go to Class B was high. I was surprised.
Yeah. That's what I found. If you look at questions 7, 9, and 10,
Yeah.
and that's perhaps maybe what you're looking at.
Yep, that's where I got
If you asked if you wanted to complete or compete in A and B, you know, and then you see the number ticked up a little bit when you saw the question for Class B.
But that doesn't really go with the prior question. Didn't really
Yeah.
make sense of, did they think we could be competitive?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How many students do you have, you think, out for track this year as compared to last year? As far as numbers?
Still have one more week to sign up.
Okay.
Last year we had 120 kids total, 6 through 12, boys and girls combined. We had roughly 80 in the high school, we had 80 roughly from Parkston, 40 from Ethan, and it was about 60 high school, 60 middle school. So, but middle school's 2.5 grades. We have 6th graders, they do not. In high school's 4 grades. So if you think of it that way, we do have more participants in middle school, but less grades, if that makes sense. So I anticipate
Yeah,
our
I saw
numbers so
that.
far, I would say would be very similar.
I don't think they understand though that.
I would say over 100 kids.
We may not even be
total.
competitive here.
Yeah.
Because you're pulling the kids from. Do you know how many so far are signed up this year? I know you said it's still open.
But off the top of my head, I don't have
Okay.
the exact numbers on.
And does that go, this survey went to all the parents?
Yep.
Any parents? And
We-
that's it? Just parents?
No. All of our 6 through 12 students and parent in the public, we send it through AFTG, and then I believe Ethan did. I know Ethan did the same thing. So.
Okay.
Yep. And the fact
So
that
this is just Parkston people, this is not Ethan people?
no, this is both.
Oh, you combined them, okay.
Yep. But you had a total. I mean, you're pushing well over 200 responses on this. So it's not like it's an invalid and you're not really sure. I mean, there was plenty of, you know, feedback who participated, which I was pleasantly surprised at the number because I didn't know what we would get, to be honest with you. So
Just a question a little bit out of the blue. If we would make a decision at some point in time, whenever that would be, to part ways with track, is that going to be an issue if we want to stay together for cross country, or do you believe it would be best if we dissolve the co-op for both? Just my question.
do me personally and see
Yeah.
that professionally, I think you can do one and not the other.
Yeah.
Honestly can. But there's got to be a will.
Mhm.
I mean, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a lot of my philosophy in life. And it has to be wordsmithed the right way. It has to be presented the right way in order to get that to, become a reality. So I think it's plausible, but everybody has a different opinion. It's either all or none. I mean, that's an option, something that one would have to contend with too. But we are meeting next week. Well, take that back. We were supposed to meet next week, Mr. Bruning, myself, Mr. Hawkins, and his counterpart in Ethan, Mary Byer, and sit down and start working on some of the agreements and how are we going to end up doing some of the price points on these particular activities based on participation. So I think that will help open the door to further conversations once we do that. If you say track doesn't work, you're still doing wrestling, you're still doing softball, you're still doing cross country. There was one comment in there I saw in there, kind of the all or none, but if we're gonna do one, let's do them all. And I know there is a little bit of a fervor, especially from in the Ethan community that perhaps there's a will to take a look at all activities. You know, having been part of the MVP footprint, right? I mean, that was everything. So, I don't know.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, I've heard it more than once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're pulled in what, 2 or 3 different ways, with the football going one way, the track
Yeah.
and stuff coming here, and then you got gymnastics and all that going a different way, and, or, you know,
PEH,
combos. And,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think, to speak to Mr. Bruning and Ms. Byers' main angst is, let's hammer out a way that we know financially as to who's responsible for what, and how are we going to support this? Because right now, there is nothing other than what was originally done, how many years ago, 15
Each
plus.
individual time it was done.
No rhyme or reason, no consistency, and that's what we wanted to do. And once that's done, perhaps maybe that'll bring some, you know, more clarity as to.
Is there's busing that comes? Do they bus the kids here
They do.
from Ethan?
They do.
And they come every day?
They
And
do.
practice starts at 4?
They do. That
Okay.
is, and that's part of the angst.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm reading that.
Yep, you can see that. So.
Yeah, and one of the comments was to travel to Ethan for practice more. Well,
Okay, they don't have a track.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that really processing? Yeah, I don't know.
Clearly not.
There's some interesting,
Yeah.
responses.
Yeah.
I guess, what, go ahead,
Real
Jed, what do you
quick,
got?
like, you know, since we're talking about resurfacing that track and whatnot, if we are co-opt with Ethan, do they share any expense of that?
Not the track.
Not the
They
track.
haven't.
Okay,
Not in the past.
because that's
But-
that's something moving forward.
Is there, are we gonna hold this thing together?
Yeah,
Okay, so
otherwise,
are you gonna share in our pain a little bit?
because yeah, and I mean, and
But I think a lot of that just has, the question has to be asked.
Yeah, I
Jed,
know.
and it probably has never been asked.
yeah,
Was never part of the original.
No, the only the way it came about that way is we said, well, obviously you're going to practice here, so we don't bus every day like they do.
mm-hmm.
So they have to drive every day. And we had the facility, so we kept the facility. And we didn't discuss having to pay for any of their busing to drive back and forth to practice or anything like that, because we just felt, that's kind of what I remember, right, John?
Yep. And we were needed kids.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and now that is the whole consternation right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that question has been answered, right?
Right.
That problem has been solved. And now now what? So moving forward, I mean, to me, anything's on the table. Are you know, if they're passionate about wanting to hang on to this, which again, I don't know if I found passion in here or not, one way or the other. I mean, there is some indication, but if they are, then how can we restructure this? How can we help each other? You know, and burying the sole cost, our problem.
Rather than have them, you know, put so much into, when the bill comes for resurfacing the track, to do like a yearly usage fee, 2,500. Well, that 2,500 goes into that budget.
Yeah, right.
That budget line item or whatever number you come up with.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that this is part of the conversation, Scott. We need to have some of those ideas, and that's where, you know, us four, from 2 superintendents and 2 business managers, you know, hashing that out to even lay the groundwork to have deeper conversations about that. But timeline on this, and I haven't said this to Mr. Shepherdson or, you know, Mr. Fisher AD or anybody else, but I don't know, again, if this is a decision, knowing that you're coming up into the track season, and this is when it was presented to us a year ago, is do you want disruption? Do you want chaos? Do you want discord going into a season? I don't think so. That's not gonna be good for anybody. Is it a decision that we know that is looming? Yeah. Is it a decision that has to be made? Yeah. So a timeline on when is the decision being made? To me, it's after the state track meet. And then we can say, finally, we got a few more months to really try to wrap our head around this, have some of these conversations as to yay or nay on this thing. But to make a decision now or in April or even in May, you know, could you imagine starting Coach Shepherdson and Coach Digman starting track, hey, yeah, last season, let's get her done. Really? I mean, it's probably not best practice for our kids. That's just my opinion. I mean, I would not set them up, in my opinion, for failure.
How many events do the varsity kids get to compete in?
4.
So they can be in 4, and that includes relays.
Yep.
4 total.
Total of 4. It can be 4 relays, 4 individuals.
And how do you choose that? Do you go by who's the best? Do you go by who wants to compete? Do you go by you go by who is the best, the fastest, the jumps the highest, the farthest?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. And you just go by fact, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, in coaching track, I've had the fastest kid on the team where he's the worst member of a relay because he can't get a baton. He can't pass the baton. Your relay team might be faster with that fastest kid off the team.
Mm-hmm.
So and that kid usually knows that. So that, I mean, you do have situations where that's the case, but otherwise it's.
Do you feel like the
great.
students from Ethan and Parkston work good together?
Oh yeah, I think they do.
And I'd say most of the comments align to that. You had a few outliers there, but you know, that's somebody perhaps with a bad experience. But
the people that have asked me have said, well, how is the co-op? I said, I think it's great. You know, and like, well, what's brought this up? And I've said it's giving the kids a chance to be in Class B, I think has been, and our numbers are good. I mean, I think Ethan has a lot of kids out, and we have a lot of kids out. So,
But that's probably because you've had success. So kids gravitate towards having winning is it's fun. So like if you're doing well, you're probably going to get more kids to go out. Girls basketball next year, blowing up. They're just going to blow up.
At least in the lower levels.
I guess.
And that's part of the discussion about going B.
Yeah.
I mean, how many banners have we said this year? I mean, that's a legitimate issue. Cross country could put a banner out there. Track could put a banner out there, you know, and so you have advantages both ways. So, but I mean, again, going back to your original question, like I've had no problems with the co-op. Kids like it, they like each other, they get along. Kids nowadays know everybody, not just from Ethan, but Corsica, Wagner, Tripp, you name it, they know everybody.
Yeah.
You know, cell phones and so.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Not making a decision right now is probably the best choice just because going into the track season. However, I would say I do think middle school makes complete sense because it gives those middle school kids a chance to like try everything, see what I'm good at. Right now there is a lot of limiting of like what they can do, how often they can do it. That's not anyone's fault. It's just the numbers, which is awesome. But I think that's the time that you want to really give kids the opportunity to figure out what do I like and what am I good at, and is this something I actually want to do? And then by the time they get to varsity, they've had all those options, seen all those things, and then the team comes together. I guess for me, I would hate to see us separate, just me personally, because they would be left with nothing. And that's really not creating community. They don't have a track. They don't have anything. They'd have to start from scratch. And we've had a good, I feel like it's been good. Maybe other people feel different, but I would not be in favor of separating. That's just my personal opinion for varsity. But I feel like if you're the best, you get to compete. That's going to be like that if you're in a AA school or you're in a B school. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to, when you get to varsity, if you're the best, you get to do that event. So that's just the way it is. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents, I guess.
There's a unique element to track that people really don't understand unless you've coached the sport, and I have, is how to write a meet. So people say, well, why aren't the 4 fastest on a relay? That makes perfect sense. 4x1, 4x2, they're the 4 fastest kids there are. Okay, but it's about scoring points too. It's utilizing the kids that you have to maximize. Jed, you were a track athlete, you know this. I mean, you were a great hurdler in the day. As to how to do that, you know, from a coaching perspective.
We were not.
Yeah, well, I know Jed, where he came
Pat.
from and what he did, so I don't mean that disrespectful.
No, it was kind of, but it's fine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know. Point being is that there's an art. That's why there's an approach and a mentality, people's perspective on, well, that's easy, just put the 4 fastest kids there. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, because maybe you got to take one of them faster kids and he's going to score high for you in these 2 particular, let's say, open events, and you can slide somebody else into that relay who's maybe a 3rd or 4th fastest kid and do no harm to that relay, and it perhaps is still going to win, you know, 1st or 2nd and still score the points. So there's a method to it. I mean, it's really not as simplistic as just, that's easy, put 4 kids in it. No, it don't work that way.
Well,
So-
like you said, sometimes the fastest kid is succeeding in the individuals, so
Mhm.
they're not on the relays.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were.
Yeah, it works both ways, Coach, you know that. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Mr. Sepson, so have you, one of the tough questions would be, have you heard, either from the parents or kids, that if Ethan wouldn't be with us, that a Parkston kid would be in a certain event compared to an Ethan kid? Have you heard any of that? I'm just asking the question.
I haven't heard anything from that where it's, I want, the Ethan kid is taking the Parkston kid's spot. I
Okay.
haven't heard any of that. It's been more like, my kid would have placed in B cross-country, state cross-country this year. They would have placed higher in cross-country. They would have made state cross-country. In A, they didn't make it. In B, they would have. That's more what I've heard.
I see.
It's not, since I've been here, I've not heard one parent say, you put an Ethan kid or you put a Parkston kid in front of this. I've heard none of that. This has all just been, I would have placed in B, or I would have made it to state in B, and I wouldn't have been A. Or I would have gotten 27th in A cross-country, and in B I would have gotten, 12th. Or I would have gotten 11th instead of 2nd.
Sure.
So that's been the major one is, you can have more kids at state in B compared to A, because it is
Just different competition.
difficult. It's different. It's harder. It's more.
Different competition.
It's more competition,
Yeah.
better competition, and it's kind of that track thing. You go from being the small A school, even combined, to being the big B school.
Yep.
And so that's the part that I've heard from parents. is-
Small fish in a big pond, or little fish, or a big fish in a little pond.
Yep.
And that's just where your ADM falls, honestly.
Oh, yeah, that's-
I mean, it's.
When I was at Mitchell, it was the same way. We were one of the smallest AA schools.
And it was tough.
It was very tough.
And it still is. I feel like it still is tough for them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had a young man say to me, our boys got 6th at state last year in state A. And he was like, I bet we would have won B last year. Couldn't argue with him. That's a discussion from parents and kids. So that's kind of why it's been brought up, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for later to discuss, like June then.
We'll continue having conversations with Craig and I, and then I will certainly have conversations with the ADs and the coaches too, through the process, and, answer any questions we can, but eventually, the question has got to be asked, a vote's got to be taken in both districts as to what we're going to do. But I suspect it's going to come with some, perhaps, like you suggested, if it's varsity that stays together, middle school, I mean, there's things there to consider. Yeah.
Okay, and you guys are working on you said that you
Agreements.
were working on just generally creating one for all of them, right? Or
Yeah, what I
Coming up with a different plan.
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to do the exact agreement for all different sports.
It'll be a template.
Or all the sports.
But it'll address each sport in there as to
Sure.
how we're compensating for
Okay,
that.
yeah, that's fine. Just
That's
so that
my-
we
that's
have
my
a
vision.
plan, you know, so it's some
Yep.
consistency.
Yep.
I think that's important. Okay, thanks for coming to answer our questions. All right, we will move to action items. The first action item is the financial report, so we'll just take a look at the February financial report.
Does anybody have any questions?
You have any concerns, Craig?
You know, just the sped, but I think that'll start coming back because like we talked about in the past, but.
No. I didn't see anything that.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the bond redemption line, that QZAP bond line taken out of there yet. The account's closed though. Got the letter in the mail last week. But the account out there is closed in Bank of Phillips, so that'll be, that bond redemption line will be done and out of there next month,
That's exciting.
so. But
Any other questions, comments, anything? All right, I just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Sean Bauer, seconded by Prohl. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, the next action item is to offer certified classified administration contract for 25-26 school year. The school board will motion to offer all employee contracts with compensation identified at a later date for the 25-26 school year. So really, we just need a motion to approve.
A motion to offer contracts.
Got it. Yep. So moved.
Moved by Nebo and seconded by Turner. Any other discussion? Hearing all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, action item C is to approve election worker rate. The school board will set the rate for school board election workers at the rate of $16 per hour for 3 workers needed to conduct the election.
So this means we will have a school board election this year on April 8th.
Okay.
So,
I just need a motion to approve that wage.
So moved.
You said it was, oh, sorry, go
moved
ahead.
by Prohl and seconded by Schoenfelder. Any other discussion? What'd you have, Jim?
The date was when?
April 8th, second Tuesday in April.
Okay.
Location, just real quick, as long as they're, Craig and I thought perhaps, because city is not involved in this, maybe the new use facility coming in the north entrance there, we just line it down that hallway, set some chairs up, and that way they can go in and out and we can keep people out of there. It's kind of convenient.
There's some rules. You gotta have a handicap accessible place, because that was the one thing that the county auditor made sure that, well, do they have handicap parking spots? I'm like, yep, there's 2 of them right up front. Well, then you're fine. We just have to have them, nobody park up there that day and set a voting sign out on the highway. We figured that'd be more visible than driving around to the backside to try to get in and do a voting poll somewhere else.
Okay.
We'll have our little table set up
Yep.
in there and have people sitting there when they walk in the door, check in and go do their deal. And
Okay.
so that's where we thought of
Is
anyway.
anything gonna be pushed to like, whatever it is, on a website or something about the election coming up, or the school board? Okay, perfect.
So I worked with Jill is taking out a petition and Andrew Roth taking out a petition, and to get their bios, picture, we'll post all that stuff on our school website, as we'll push that out to our social media outlets as well. So, and get people involved in that aspect, but yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, we will, does anybody need a break? We're gonna move to executive session.
Keep going.
Okay, we'll just go into executive
So we need a
session.
recess.
Gotta clear the room and, yep.
That's 8:11.